The NCAA Division I Lacrosse Game of the Week. The Johns Hopkins University Blue Jays versus the Towson University Tigers.
These two Baltimore neighbors have traveled different roads to arrive at Madigan Stadium today. Towson has struggled after 3 early season wins. Hopkins, on the other hand, their only blemish, an early season loss to Loyola. They're ranked number 2 in the land. Hi, everybody. Scott Garceau, Keith Mills with you. Keith, an emotional day for Towson. They don't match up with Hopkins on paper, but emotion, a big part of this one with the Tony Seaman story.
That's a great point. Tony Seaman spent 8 years at Hopkins, Scott, and you can't go through an entire season on emotion, but you can play one game on it. We'll see how his team responds after last week's very disappointing loss to UMBC.
Well, let's take a look at some of the numbers. Keith, Towson scored a lot early. They've struggled lately, and they've struggled with their defense.
Yeah, they struggled against some good competition. Hopkins, one of the most potent attack and offensive units in the country. You see they're averaging 15 goals a game. Towson averaging 13, but many of those goals came against lesser competition. Boy, Hopkins right now playing as well as any team in the country. They've ripped off 8 wins in a row, and they're just playing fantastic lacrosse.
All right, let's bring in the former Hopkins All-American, Quint Kesnick, to talk about those Blue Jays. Quint, defense has been their story. Over the last 5 games, they've allowed under 5 goals a game.
Yeah, they've really tightened things up on the defensive end of the field. Carcaterra doing a great job in the goal. But I think the reason they've been successful lately is A.J. Hogan's back in the lineup. He's got 12 goals, 1 assist on the season. When you have a guy like A.J. Hogan who can run by you or nail the outside shot, you're going to score a lot of goals. And Connor Dennehan at the midfield, O'Kelly and Dan Dennehan have also done a great job this season. But A.J. Hogan, explosive, and it should be fun to watch him play this afternoon.
Carcaterra and the Hopkins defense held Navy to 1, Maryland to 3 a couple of weeks before. They look like they're in prime May kind of year for them.
Yeah, and Carcaterra, I thought, struggled in March. He had some shaky games. In the month of April, he's been outstanding, probably playing his best ball last week against Navy. Held them to 1 goal on 6 shots on Cade. So Carcaterra, I think, will play a great game against his former coach, Tony Seaman.
All right, Quint. Keith, let's talk about Towson. Last week we saw them struggle, a real struggle defensively against UMBC.
Yeah, they're going to have to play better defense than they did last week, but they'll also have to get some more output other than Spencer Ford on the offensive end. Spencer, the senior from Towson High School, he's the 2nd leading scorer in the country with 25 goals and 39 assists, but he needs some help today from Danny Ross and Kevin Sturm on the attack, or again, the Towson defense will be faced with a lot of pressure.
And in goal, a change for Tony Seaman, right?
Yeah, John Horrigan has started every game this year. He will not start today. Sam Hudson, the junior from Loyola High School, will start, and the basic reason for that is that Towson will play a lot more zone today. Tony Seaman thinks Sam Hudson's a better goaltender on wider shots from farther away from the net. Maybe Quinn could explain that later as we go on, but Sam Hudson for John Corrigan in the net.
Okay, Keith, I guess for Towson, the good news, too, they've played quality teams like Loyola and Syracuse tough. They'll hope for some of that effort today. Back to take a look at the lineups right after this.
Lacrosse Game of the Week, brought to you by Wells Discount Liquors, serving Maryland since 1937. And Lombard Securities, Baltimore's source for independent financial advice, where promises made are promises kept.
These are your final days to save at Levitt's Furniture's historic bankruptcy going out of business sale. Yes, 6 Levitt stores in Maryland and Virginia only are about to close forever. Inventory is at critical levels. And now you can make an offer on anything in the store. There's still a huge selection, and if your offer's within reason, it's yours. Make an offer on living rooms, dining rooms, bedrooms, mattresses, leather, oriental rugs, and more. Do not wait 1 minute longer. Levitt's Furniture, Maryland and Virginia only. Final days bankruptcy going out of business sale. Hurry in and make an offer. All reasonable offers will be accepted. The final days mean the greatest savings.
In the frenzy of investing and trading, brokers sometimes lose track of what they say. Sometimes they imply results that aren't what you receive. And sometimes they don't deliver the depth of service you expect. Which is why you may want to consider a new kind of independent broker from Lombard Securities Incorporated, where promises that are made are promises that are kept.
We are just a few minutes away from our game of the week, the 4-6 Towson Tigers against the 9-1 Hopkins Blue Jays. Right now, here's Quint with a Lax Facts.
The circular goal crease in lacrosse has a 9-foot radius from the top of the crease to the goal line. It is the goalie's domain. When he makes a save, he's allowed 4 seconds in the crease to make an outlet pass or to run from the goal. Defenders are also allowed to cut through the crease, and that really helps them play their man. As an offensive player, I am not allowed in the crease at all. If I step in here or I fall in, that's an immediate whistle and a turnover, defensive ball.
All right, Quint, a little crease rule and a change in the crease rule this year as well.
Yeah, this year no diving's allowed into the crease. In years past, offensive players could shoot and then fall into the crease. This year, if you go in that crease even after you shoot it, that's going to be a change of possession and no goal.
Let's take a look at the Blue Jays starting lineup, Quint.
Well, Hopkins, they've done a great job offensively this season. 54% of their goals come from their attack, and they're led by Dylan Schlott, the Gilman High grad. Ryan Quinn's the left-hander, number 15, who generally is a feeder more than a shooter. And Dan Denahan's had such a great year, number 42, from behind the goal. At the midfield, A.J. Hogan has come back from the hamstring injury. Connor Denahan has had a breakthrough season. That's the brother of Dan. And Matt O'Kelly, the senior, has just led a really strong first line of midfield. At the defensive end, they've got some good size in John Paleologus. Rob Dorr is a first-team All-American, and Brandon Testa is a real smart defender, doesn't make many mistakes. And in the goal, first-team All-American Brian Carcaterra from Yorktown, New York.
Playing their best lacrosse at the right time of the year,
They've certainly picked it up in the last 4 games.
Okay, Keith, Towson trying to hop back, but we said earlier they played some quality opponents tough earlier this year. That's the form they're looking for today.
Yeah, and they'll, again, will be led by their attack, but they have to get more production out of that attack today. And they're led by number 7, Spencer Ford, the senior from Towson High, Kevin Sturm, senior from St. Mary's, and Danny Ross, senior from Towson High, round out the attack. Both of those players were shut out last week against UMBC. Todd Paradise, junior from Falston, anchors the first-team midfield. He'll wear number 11. Number 14 is Steve Smith, sophomore from North Hartford High School, and number 16, senior Steve Price from Calvert Hall. The close defense, number 19, John Campbell, 6'4", senior from Oakland Mills High in Howard County. Another Howard County grad, Mike Matron, a sophomore from Mount Hebron, and number 30, Chris Anzalone, a senior from Freeport, really anchors that close defense. And in goal today, Sam Hudson, not John Horgan.
All right, Keith, Hopkins has dominated this series, but recently here at Milligan Stadium, there have been several close games. Just about set for the face-off. Back, Hopkins against Towson coming up next.
The National Collegiate and NCAA Division III Women's Lacrosse Championships are coming to historic Homewood Field on the campus of Johns Hopkins University May 14th through the 16th. The action begins with the Division I semifinal games on Friday evening, then the Division III semifinal games on Saturday, and Division I and III championships on Sunday. All seats are general admission. Tickets are $15 and include all events. For more information or to order your tickets, call 410-516-7490.
During Adventure 99, buy a Dodge Stratus and you'll get your choice of 1.9% financing or a vacation package worth up to $1,800 at the new Universal Studios Islands of Adventure theme park in Orlando, Florida. It's the adventure of a lifetime, and we have the rides to prove it. See the friendly Dodge dealer near you.
A sunny, breezy spring afternoon at Milligan Stadium as you look at some of the crowd here this afternoon as Hopkins and Towson get ready to get after it today. And should be a good one, as you mentioned earlier, Keith, plenty of emotion. The Tony Seaman story, obviously. He would like to pull an upset and see his guys play at a much higher level than we saw him last week.
Yeah, and Quinn, it's got to be interesting. He recruited every one of these players for Hopkins, and to see them now on the other side of the ball has got to be a little odd for him.
I think that the Seaman factor factors in two reasons. One, this week in practice all week, you're thinking about it. Once the game starts, however, that's probably the last thing that these players are thinking about. But two would be his knowledge of this Hopkins team. If anyone can stop this offense, it's going to be Tony Seaman. He knows these players inside and out, and he should have a good defensive game plan.
Towson in the white jerseys, Hopkins in the blue. That attack line of Ford, Sturm, and Ross for the Tigers. Todd Paradise gives it up back behind the goal now. We saw Spencer Ford really get kind of taken out of the game last week, and there's an unforced error as Towson throws it away. Quint, you look for Hopkins to do some of the same double teaming on Ford, who's kind of the quarterback of the Towson offense.
You want to take away Spencer Ford, take him out of the offense, and then the other parts of the Towson offense could theoretically suffer. Towson's going to be much more patient with the ball today. They want to protect their defense by holding the ball for long possessions.
That is not one way to do that.
Exactly.
Throw the ball, 8 feet over your teammate's head.
Back behind the goal go the Blue Jays with it.
Towson will open up in his zone defense.
Which is the reason, as we said, that Sam Hudson's in the net.
Oh, he's got to have some butterflies.
Ooh.
Start, and there's a shot and a goal right out of the gate. A.J. Hogan fires in a left-hander, and Towson's on the board. It didn't take him long. We've only played a minute and 1 second.
Hogan's 13th goal of the season, a left-handed bullet against the zone. It's okay to dodge, and he slides right through the two defenders. Hudson a little late on that. Hogan has a deceptively fast shot, straight overhand left-handed, beating Hudson from about 13 yards. Watch it again. A.J. Hogan, the best way to beat his own defense is you've got to draw penetration, draw the double team, then kick it to a teammate. This time, however, Towson did not double, so Hogan took the shot.
Scott, A.J.'s really played well since he came back from that injury. In the 8 games, or the 4 games he's played since the Ohio State game, he scored 8 goals. That was his 9th.
National Player of the Year candidate. There's a shot and a goal as they come right back the other way. Justin Berry right off the face-off takes it home, and Towson ties it up at 1 with 13:53 left.
Justin Berry, one of the best face-off specialists in the country at about 63%. The knock against Berry is he can't handle, and you can see Hopkins really lets Berry take this ball to the cooker, and he beats Carcaterra 5-hole right between the wickets. Justin Berry with the face-off and the goal. Really big matchup. Whedon versus Berry. So far, the advantage would go to Berry.
Some good lacrosse terms there.
Yeah, the cooker,
Heard of the cage, the 5-hole. We got it all in there. Good job, Clint. Tied at 1, and now Hopkins has trouble on the pass, and the Tigers get it back, and probably important for Towson to get that quick goal right after Hopkins had jumped him.
Absolutely.
Psychologically, that was a big one for Tony Seaman and his Tigers.
Yeah, coming into this game, 2 straight losses, tough losses to Yale, and then last week against UMBC. They need a good first quarter. Confidence-wise, this is a team that's a little shaken.
Campbell gives it up, unprotected goal, and Hopkins takes a 2-1 lead. An easy goal for Dan Denahan off the turnover. The goal was wide open as Carcaterra had come out.
Wow. You don't see that too often, and how easy can that be for a goal scorer? 1 gift wrap for him.
20th goal of the season for Dan Denahan. Campbell just loses it. Credit Denahan with some hustle. He made the check, got the loose ball, and Hudson's caught out of the goal. Nothing he can do as a goaltender there. Nice play by Denahan. This series has been a very high series in the past 5 years.
Well, we've had 3 goals in 27 seconds here.
And here comes Eric Whedon again. Scott off the face-off.
And Whedon gets a little body, and the shot goes up high.
Whoa, boy, end-to-end so far.
Both Whedon and Berry nearly scoring. Berry did score directly off the face-off, and Whedon that time, one of the best, got in on goal.
Just saw John Hall as he replaced Tony Seaman. Kind of peculiar day, I'm sure, for him in a way.
Probably can hear the wind whipping into our microphones. We're up on top of Minigan Stadium, and the wind really howling up here. Not quite as bad down on the field. We'll take it compared to the stuff we put up with March. Shot down low by A.J. Hogan.
Nice little zone play. They swing the ball towards the right-hander, towards Connor Denahan, and then it kicks back to A.J. Hogan for the 12-yard shot. He just missed the goal, but that's a real solid execution.
Hogan takes it up on top now. 2-1. Hopkins, a lot of scoring in the early going here. We played less than 3 minutes. That time Hogan has trouble handling the pass, retreats, and recovers.
Quinn, is this a difficult team to play a zone against because they have so many guys that can handle a stick?
We're going to have a foul right there against Towson. But no, Hopkins has really not faced much zone defense this year.
Ohio State, right?
Ohio State being one of them. Ohio State had a tricky zone, and actually it worked for a half, but then they just gave up too many shots. Watch the replay. I think this will be a tripping violation against Wolfman, number 43 for Towson right there. You can see him get his stick caught in the leg of Connor Denahan, number 24, so Hopkins will be up for 1 minute.
And on the extra man attack, Saul Human comes in for the Blue Jays. 2-1. Hopkins tries to add as they have the man advantage after the penalty.
Hopkins 40% this season on extra man, which is a real excellent number.
Next to Steve Olden, his brother played here at Towson.
There's a shot up top and a good save, and that's got to be a real lift. Young goalkeeper makes a nice stop on the extra man to get him started.
But then Aaron's pass guy looked like he was so anxious, Quint, to get the outlet pass get the offense moving that the outlet pass went a little far.
Hogan went back to the identical location of his goal to open this game, and Hudson was there this time. It's a good play by the goalie. You got to recognize a shooter and his tendencies, and if he burns you with a shot, you got to protect against that shot the next time he shoots. This field, you see the ball kicking around. This field's a nice grass field, but it is extremely hard. So as you see the ball bouncing around today, it's almost as if this game is being played on AstroTurf.
And we should, there's Tony
really mad about the call. I think he thought it was deflected off a Hopkins player, but the officials, and they're, of course, Tony's best friend, are the otherwise. Tony Seaman, 77-33 in his 8 years at Hopkins, ranks him 4th all-time behind Bob Scott, Henry Ciccarone, and Don Zimmerman in the Hopkins coaching win list.
Hopkins Blue Jays ranked number 2 in the land, just behind Loyola, 9-1. There's a shot up high by Matt O'Kelly. And Hopkins had that early season loss, game we did, 14-5 over at Hopkins, and since then, they have been perfect.
Yeah, against some real good teams, Scott, and some real close games.
Ooh, a double team there. Some good defense as they just used the body and stripped the ball away from Hopkins.
Tremendous defense by Towson. They kept Hopkins on the perimeter. O'Kelly shot, missed the goal, and then they just collapsed on Dylan Schlott.
Guys, that's what we didn't see against UMBC. Nobody in front in that crease area, and nobody getting physical. That time they made a statement early.
Exactly. They swarmed Dylan Schlott. We're going to have a penalty on the far side. What's Connor Denahan, number 24 for Hopkins? This will be a hold violation. 30 seconds. Anytime a player throws his hands up saying that there's no foul here, there usually is a foul. Look at it right there. He just wraps them up with both hands. So Towson will have a 30-second man advantage.
Towson trailing 2-1. Got a tent getting blown away up here.
Yeah, it's the wind strong. Gusting, yeah. Gusting to about 30, 40 miles an hour.
There's a quick stick goal by Danny Ross. Danny Ross right out front ties it up. The extra man advantage. Tigers knotted at 2 with 11:14 to play in the quarter. The big guy.
Danny Ross from Spencer Ford. Quick little pass inside, and he finishes. Goal number 18 on the season for Ross. Here it is. There's going to be a foul afterwards. I'm not sure what the call is going to be, but here's Danny Ross. Left-handed, beats Carcaterra from point-blank range. Right now, Towson only has 2 shots, both for goals.
That's something we didn't see Dan Ross do last week at all, Quint, is put the ball in the net. So that's a good sign for the Tigers. He has to pick this game up today for Towson to be successful.
And some credit right there goes to Tony Seaman and Paul Caneby, and assistant coaches. Caneby and the assistant coach who designed that extra man play. They saw something all week in practice. I'm sure they practiced that, and that was very easy. Goal.
Yeah.
So we're tied at 2. Still early in the first quarter. Check all loose.
Steve Waltman in the middle of that. We've seen him do that all year. As Brendan Testa, number 39, comes up with the loose ball. Back to Carcaterra.
Carcaterra passes this time, but he's capable of taking off with that thing. This is Wheaton.
Towson on the extra man here. Look for them to double-team the ball, trying to get the turnover. Paleologos got a foul after that goal was scored, an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty.
Towson seems a little confused. They're trying to figure out who to double-team. But there you see the double-team, but
they're down to 20 seconds left on this extra man, so Hopkins looks like they have the extra man right now.
Yeah, it looks like they're going to be able to hold the ball and sustain the extra man.
10 seconds left in the penalty. So Hopkins will retain possession and then even up. And that now the penalty has expired. Back behind the cage, and Denahan.
You hear the 2 being screamed out. Undoubtedly, this is play number 2 for the Hopkins offense.
Quint, do you remember what that one was?
It's in the 2 hole.
Changed the numbers.
We had more complex and fun names.
Left flex 9 off the
Black Bow, Deuces Riga.
That's the Don Zimmerman terminology.
Loose ball, and the Tigers come up with it for Towson. That was number 25, Mike Matrin. And now they can't control over on the far side.
You see number 34 immediately put his head down. That's Kevin Mayron, a sophomore from Port Washington, New York.
And we've got a timeout, 9:37 left in the first quarter. We're tied at 2 at Madigan Stadium. Back right after this.
Neat look Uncle high school athletes who have what it takes on and off the field. Watch Prep Profile.
Tuesdays at 6, brought to you by your friends at Toyota. Toyota, every day.
There's one card you can carry that protects you whenever the unexpected strikes. It's the new Preferred Client card from the law offices of Stephen L. Miles. It's imprinted with your very own name, and it entitles you to free advice from your own lawyers. Start carrying the card now. To get yours free, call the law offices of Stephen L. Miles at 685-8444. That's 685-8444.
Let's talk about it.
This is all you need to drive a new car or truck from Heritage. It's this simple. Just sign and drive. More than 3,000 vehicles, all available with no out-of-pocket cash. Make no monthly payment till August. Save with 0% financing. Don't delay. Hurry to Heritage, where all you need to do is sign and drive.
A sports agent scouting Cuban defectors Monday at 5 and 11 on 2 News.
Gives you a good look at how that Hopkins defense has come on in the last half of the season. First 5 games, about 12.5 goals. The last 5 games, 4.8 goals per game, and that's going to keep you undefeated, and they've been on a run since the loss to Loyola.
No doubt. Scott, coming up after the game, the Lombard Security Player of the Game and the SPX Black Squirrel Play of the Game for you.
Hopkins right out in front. There's a good save. Nice job. Good hard shot on goal.
And that was Dylan Schlott, and I think that's the farthest shot I've ever seen him take, about 10 yards away from the net.
Yeah, right, yeah. Sam Hudson up to the challenge. Another distance shot, and Hudson again with a save.
Well, obviously, Towson's just going to pack it in and give Hopkins these outside shots. Hopkins has taken about 8 or 9 shots so far in the first quarter. They've only connected on 2.
And quite the first time Hopkins' defense has been able to clear the ball after a save or a turnover. Possession so crucial in this game, particularly when you have an opponent who's high-powered like the Blue Jays of Hopkins.
Tied at 2, first quarter, 8:45 left. Got Garsoki, Phils, and Quick Kesnick with you from Minnigan Stadium. Next week we'll be in College Park on Saturday as the Terps host UMBC.
And that will be a big one. Towson and Maryland here Wednesday night. Got a makeup game for the
That's the one we got snowed out.
Yeah. What, 2 months ago? It was about 2 feet of snow on the ground.
They were talking about that before the game. They said Tony Seaman wanted to play so bad. He said the snow was up to our ankle. Penalty marker down as Spencer Ford gets worked over.
Free possession here for Towson, and they throw it away. But that's Rob Dorr on the penalty.
Yeah, Robbie Dorr is going to be flagged for a slashing call. And Dorr early this season had a bunch of fouls. He's got 10 penalties and that makes his 11th penalty for 10 minutes. And that's been a point of emphasis for John Hawes and the Hopkins defense. They have made 55 fouls this season compared to their opponents who've only made 54. But anytime you're involved at a high level like this, that's a slash right there.
Yeah.
Got him in the helmet.
Oh, good shot.
Got one in the hat.
You know, Scott, Tony Seaman said last year that he thought Rob Dorr was the best one-on-one defender in the land, and I think when he proved it this year, he's taken some high-powered players right out of the game.
Well, Scott Hochstead 2 games ago, Keith, held them to no shots on goal. There's a bullet off the pipe. Towson cranks it up. Still have the advantage for 40 seconds. Good physical play at the midfield by Hopkins, and the Blue Jays come up with it. So they're down a man, but on the attack come the Hopkins Blue Jays, right in on goal, stripped away. That was Dan Denahan who lost it, loose ball in front. Blue Jays back up with it.
Looks like we're going to have a timeout called by John Hawes on the far sideline. Hopkins dodged a bullet right there with that pipe shot. The great extra man play by Towson University. They get the high percentage shot. Watch the velocity here. This catches Carcaterra. It has him beat, and the ball just bounces all the way to the midline.
Todd Paradise, I believe, on the shot, and it was a rocket. So
one more.
The early going, take another look at it.
Take another look. This ball hits the post. Anytime it beats you as a goalie, you just wait for the crowd's reaction or the noise of the ball hitting the pipe. I can remember playing here. Glenn Smith took a shot. Glenn Smith, the great attacker in the league in Towson State history, hit the post, and the ball deflected all the way back past where our TV trunk is.
Whoa.
That guy could shoot, but Paradise right there. That ball looks like it was traveling about 95.
Well, we played half the first quarter, and at this point, Towson and Tony Seaman have to be happy. They're very competitive. They're in the game. They're getting shots on goal, and they're playing defense like they didn't last week against UMBC.
Absolutely, Scott. They're much more aggressive defensively, much more in sync. Tony Seaman
Sam Hudson, a couple of nice saves.
Couple of nice saves from wide shots that Tony said that's why he's in. Hopkins leads this series 22-3, but as Quinn said, the last couple of years have been some real barn burners.
Now, I want to know which of you two guys lost your perfect game over here. We've had a little cleanup work here as a beverage has been spilled.
That's the first time all season we had anything like that.
It was the wind, right? Neither one of you take the air.
We've had frostbite. We've had
snow, and today wind. But it's not a perfect world, Scott. We just have to deal with it. As Ray Miller's finding out,
we are at even strength now. The penalty has expired. Game tied at 2, just under 7 minutes left in the first quarter. Hopkins in possession in the blue jerseys. Shot down low is wide. That'll be something on that one. Matt O'Kelly.
One of the first things that John Haas did when he came to Hopkins, he got rid of the black jerseys that were Tony Seaman's signature. Hopkins wore the road black for 8 years there, and Haas went back to the old school, the blue jerseys.
There's a shot and a goal around the corner. Matt O'Kelly scores with the left hand, and Hopkins back on top, 3-2 with 6:39 left in the quarter.
Again, Towson playing their zone defense, content to pack it in. And it looks like Jason Molinar, the big lefty, number 25, comes in left-handed and just overpowers his defender. Watch him here just run through that check. You've got the body on body defensively, especially when you're going to guys with the size that Jason Molinar has. Molinar's really played an active role lately in the offense. His 10th goal of the season. He's got 2 assists. But he's the guy who comes in off the bench for Ryan Quinn on the left-handed side.
Hey, a lot of guys would like to have him as their number 1 attackman, Quinn. I think Tony Seaman said last year he was that kind of a player, but here he can barely get time with the arsenal that Hopkins throws out offensively.
My mistake. I thought it was O'Kelly with 25 and 26 down there, but Molinar with the goal, and the Jays up 3-2.
And again, Scott, the face-off won by Hopkins, a great way to gain momentum in this game, as we've seen throughout the year, is to throw the face-off. Eric Weed, one of the best in the business.
Now, last time won the draw and nearly scored, went right in on goal with it.
Whedon usually gains strength as the game progresses. He usually gets better in the third and fourth quarter.
Joe Driscoll getting some time. Scott, number 11, played a lot the last couple of weeks for John Hawes.
Danahan couldn't get there in time, and Towson will have possession.
You know, Scott, Quinn brought up a great point. Hopkins hasn't seen too much of his own, and if you're not used to seeing it, it can throw your timing off. It can throw off your continuity, and I think you're seeing a little of that right now from Towson. The question is, when they adjust, what does Towson do to adjust? And you know they will. They're too good a team.
It's also difficult to practice against the zone when your team doesn't do a zone normally. Hopkins has shown zone defense on occasion this year, but when they're practicing it all week long, you're playing against your teammates who really don't understand zone concepts.
Offside, Towson, the Keith Smith across the midfield line. That's a no-no, and the ball goes back to Hopkins. And again, problems clearing the ball for Towson. Good call.
John Haas giving him the business.
Hans Wittelsberger, one of the best referees. We've seen quite a bit of him this year. He does a great job on the far side to make the call. There's 3 officials, one on each side of the field. Then you have an official by the box. There's tons of action that goes on by the substitution box.
The least of which are the 2 coaches who are constantly in the ear of the official.
Pass out front, and then the triple team by the Towson defense. And a turnover.
Fraterola right there, 27, caught the ball from behind and got absolutely mugged in front. That was not the call. There was a delayed call against Towson. But watch the feed in front. Look at the 3 defenders just collapse the defense.
It's alone.
We didn't see much of that last week by the Towson defense.
Exactly. I think
they're doing a good job.
Yeah, I think Paul Cannabine and Tony Seaman, Stan Ross would like to see a penalty or 2 just to increase the aggressiveness a little bit. You don't want to live on the extra man defense, but sometimes that is not a bad thing.
Make your presence felt. Right?
Absolutely. It can pay off down the stretch.
Hopkins with a shot that misses. Danahan got open, couldn't put it away. Yeah, 3-2 Hopkins lead under 5 minutes left.
Yes, Scott, that's Connor Danahan, as Quinn said, really had a breakthrough year. Outstanding season. Dan's brother.
Missed the pass there, but it went right to Hogan. A.J. fires, knocked around off the pipe pass in front, and a score. score. Matt O'Kelly parked out on the doorstep, got it up high, and just kind of flipped it in. And boy, that was like ping pong.
Great pass from Danahan to know where O'Kelly was, Quinn.
That was a pinball machine action there. The original shot by Hogan hit the post and then hit a defender, kicked right to Dan Danahan. You'll see right here, this is Danahan behind the cage, throws the ball almost an alley-oop, and O'Kelly makes a terrific handle, somehow getting his stick and volleying that ball past Hudson, the Towson goalie. But it was just a great flurry right there for the Hopkins.
Hopkins up 4-2. We're going to step out after the O'Kelly goal.
Charm City is known as a friendly town. But what do you do if you're a landlord and your new tenant is getting a little too friendly? The next People's Court is Monday at 4, followed by 2 News at 5.
Here's our first winner in the 2 News Watch and Win contest.
Marquise Zimmerman, you're $1,000 richer. You could be next. Every night through May 26th, we're giving away $1,000. Just send in your card and watch 2 News at 11 to win.
We were there when it was still just a game, when winning or losing didn't matter, and a desire to play was all you needed. Of course, that was then. The game has changed, but not our commitment to the cutting edge in lacrosse equipment and merchandise, like the Warrior Odyssey, with product development by the world's best lacrosse players, and the CT from Sport Helmet. The company brought you the #1 selling helmet in sports, setting new standards for performance, comfort, and value, while protecting the brains of the game. Back rack raisin, over 90 years of lacrosse tradition.
4:41 left first quarter. Hopkins on top of Towson 4-2. Step back. Face off again. Whedon gets the draw.
And no contest from that draw, Scott. Whedon just controlling the face-off right now.
And look at him go. Eric Whedon in on goal, draws the double team.
There's no substitute for speed in this game.
More midfield this year as well.
Yeah, his ability with the ball much improved from last season, showing more confidence. He's got a green light to go to the net.
Again, the pressure really on Towson's defense here.
Hopkins really controlling the ball now in the last several minutes. Not much up at the other end.
Much easier to do that when you're in the zone. You can take the time and you can really hand-pick your spot, really.
Whoops, and there's an unforced error as Hopkins just throws it over Jason Molinar. Got a little too high with the pass.
That is the inconsistency that has plagued Molinar. He has tremendous athletic ability and at times looks like perhaps the best attackman in the country.
Yeah.
But then other plays, he'll throw the ball out of bounds. So there's got to be consistency, and I know coaches at all levels, youth level, the high school level, they love consistency. They love putting guys they can trust out on the field.
Absolutely. Throw and catch. Basic part of this game.
Don Campbell with it for the Tigers.
They're offside second time in a row. Quint and Towson's been flagged for offside, and their clearing problems persist. Again, they had
errors, right?
Again, good scouting if you ask me for Hopkins. They had trouble last week against UMBC. You know, good coaches see things that you try to take away a person's strength. And
Hopkins doing a great job cutting off the Towson midfielders on their clear. They're letting the defenders with the long sticks handle the ball, and that time Campbell takes the ball over the line. Hopkins is getting ready to jump him with Brendan Shook.
And now Dan Danahan throws it away. So both teams get a little sloppy. Back-to-back turnovers for Hopkins on 2 just unforced errors.
you could say it was the emotion of the moment, but I don't think so. The emotion
and concentration. Right?
By this time of the game, motion has worn off. As you see, John Hawes, Loyola High School graduate, grew up in the Lutherville section of Baltimore. The emotion is worn down, Quinn. Now you have to play. Now you have to go out and execute. And neither team executing real well the last few possessions.
Tigers with possession, trail 4-2. About 3 minutes left in the first quarter.
And an area for concern for Tony Seaman and his staff right now is the first team midfield. Last week, Smith scored a couple of goals, but other than that, Todd Paradise, Steve Price totally shut down.
That is a great point, Keith, because their attack has done 70% of their scoring this season. Their midfield really has not generated enough offense. Talking to their assistant coaches, they want guys like Smith and Price and Paradise to go to the goal more.
Steve Smith pass out front, and it's loose in midfield. And Hopkins wins that.